Thank you, Mr. President. I want to ask about some prisoners that are being held in Iran. As we speak, there are dual nationals currently being held, including 3 Americans. I hope I get these names right. Siamak Namazi had advocated for closer ties to the U.S. and Iran. His father, who was in the 80s. Earlier this week, we learned about a U.S. resident by the name of Nizar Zakka, who has been advocating for internet freedom. He was just sentenced to 10 years in prison. There's a British Iranian woman, charity worker, who was sentenced to 5 years in prison. She had traveled to Iran with her toddler daughter. Several of these prisoners are elderly. They're in poor health. What is your government doing to resolve this?
Well, first of all, you do know that dual citizenship is not recognized under Iranian law. Therefore, those who have dual citizenship, from the interpretation of the Iranian laws, are Iranian citizens solely and only. And any legal prosecution is carried out on the foundation that they're Iranian citizens subject to Iranian law. Now, the government, on behalf of all of those who are either going through the court system or are in prison, we work hard so that the laws apply to all of them equally, the processes apply to all of them equally. And the responsibility of the President of the Islamic Republic is to supervise, to ensure the full implementation of the Constitution. So the full implementation of the Constitution of the Islamic Republic is the responsibility of the President.
Okay, let me ask you another question related to the release of some hostages. There were several cash payments that Iran received from the United States earlier this year. Some critics of that in the United States Senate argue that the money was a ransom payment, a quid pro quo, if you will, for the 4 Americans that were released in January. Did you feel as if, were you waiting to release the prisoners until the money that was agreed to be sent back, money that was held, that belonged to Iran from 1979, were the hostages being held until that money was transferred over?
There were 2 issues. One of them were the sums of monies belonging to the nation of Iran left in the United States, seized in the United States, and there are still considerable sums of money in the United States that belong to our nation, and we're currently conducting conversations and various dialogues in order to return this money to Iran. Some things that we could not agree upon, there are ways to address those in the international court system. Now, vis-a-vis the imprisonment of those Iranians or those Iranians who are imprisoned in the United States or were being prosecuted by the United States, or the same for those who were being held in Iran with dual citizenship. So we worked quite hard in order to have a concerted effort to free those from both sides, both the Iranians who were being held or prosecuted in the United States, as well as those who were sentenced in Iran and had served some of their prison terms, and they were pardoned for the remainder of their prison terms. So there were these 2 issues that were being talked about simultaneously on parallel tracks, and perhaps these dialogues can be still conducted simultaneously on parallel tracks while we're conducting those same conversations in order to free the sums of money that are still owed to us. In other words, these are the monies belonging to the Iranian nation left in the United States for 38 years and must be returned to its rightful owner.